Good evening, everyone. We ready to start?
Yeah, good afternoon.
sir.
Can you hear us okay?
Yep. Yes, I do. Yes, can. Thank you.
Okay, great. We've asked you a lot over camp about the disadvantages of not having that extra week in the off season and no preseason games. But do you feel in your first year with this team there are certain advantages to going into a season blind as far as your opponents not being aware of what you're doing and sequencing and how you're getting to some of the plays you want to do?
Well, I think it really falls into the area of unscouted looks. I mean, in a normal season, regardless of if you're a new staff or your staff that's returning after your 10th year, there's always been a high percentage in the first 4 weeks of what we refer to as unscouted looks. So the number always was as high as 30%. So that's really an outlook that I've always had in preparation. Will it be higher this year? I would say yes, probably. But they still have the LA Rams still have the same opportunity to be higher in their unscouted looks opportunities. So it's really a part of the first 4 weeks of an NFL season. We're hopeful with the coverage and of our team here down the stretch that we can hide as much as possible. I try to say that with a straight face.
Mike, have you guys gone about the process yet of finalizing who your captains are going to be, and just what is your view on that process?
We will have weekly captains. There'll be 3 captains that will serve each week, and that'll be part of our team meeting on Saturday. So, and that's when we'll let the team know who they are. The only time we would vote and have the C that the team captains is for playoffs.
That's a change, obviously.
The way it's been done in the past.
Have you always done it that
Why
way?
do you take that
why do you
approach?
think that's good?
Excuse me?
Have you
Why do you
always
take that
done it
approach?
that way, and why do you like that approach rather than a captain for the season?
Because I feel it's an opportunity for your full roster to experience. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for leadership. There's a number of positive factors, in my view, of doing it that way.
Mike, we haven't spoken to you since y'all released Clinton Dix. What was the philosophy behind that, or why didn't that work out for this roster?
I'm sorry, I lost you halfway through.
Why didn't it work out? I mean,
It was a football decision, and it was obviously for me personally, knowing HaHa since he came into a league, this was a clear reminder how difficult these last 4 or 5 days are as a head coach when you do release players. But it was a football decision.
What are your principles or your approach when it comes to those conversations when a player is cut? What's it like in that room, and how do you try to manage that?
Well, I mean, we have a process that's very similar to what's been done here in the past. But my personal interaction is I've always sat down and spoke to every player. It's an opportunity for them to ask you questions and an opportunity to share with them on their experience, and just kind of make sure they understand the direction and in our direction, and at the end of the day, you may have the opportunity to work together again too. So I mean, it's a very personal conversation.
What do you like about Carr, and how do you envision working him in going forward?
Well, I mean, just an excellent veteran football player. Just have a chance to compete against Brandon over the years, and obviously he played well in Baltimore last year. The thing I'm very attracted to is his flexibility to play multiple positions. So I think he's a very good fit for our group.
Can you update us on the status of Xavier Woods and Cheeto for this week?
We'll know more Wednesday. So we had a walkthrough today. So so far so good.
Mike, why do you think Darian Thompson can give you guys what you're looking for from the safety position?
Darian's done an excellent job since, just from our interaction, starting back in the spring with the virtual. He's very smart, instinctive football player, not only on defense, but on special teams. So, he's had a heck of a camp.
Brandon Carr.
What's your confidence level in Cam Irving this week? Obviously, he's going to start right tackle for you.
Well, Cam is doing a heck of a job. Obviously, had a setback there, and he just has excellent flexibility, and he's probably a week or so behind some of the other guys just because of the time he missed. But he's obviously has a ton of experience, and I think he's getting more and more comfortable. What we're asking him to do.
Brandon Carr hasn't been in training camp with any team. Where is he? How realistic would it be for him to play week 1? Is that in the cards potentially?
I can't really tell you because
obviously there's a process that you have to go through here, and we haven't practiced yet.
Did Leo Collins have a setback? He missed early part of camp, and then he came and practiced. Did he have a setback with his injury? And can you talk about your concern for that?
Well, it's just kind of where he is. So there's a reason why he was put on the IR minor, because he needs more time to deal with his injury. So as far as the expectation, I know he wanted to be out there, and this is probably something that he didn't prefer, but it's in his best interest based off the medical information.
And it was an injury that kept him out. It wasn't a conditioning issue. It was an injury that kept him out early, not a conditioning issue.
You guys are talking over each other. I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
I'm sorry. I just want to clarify. Was it an injury that's been his biggest issue, not a conditioning issue?
No, it's a medical. Yeah, he has an injury.
Okay.
Mike, Kellen mentioned to us that the way y'all's offseason was structured, you and he were working on breaking down 2019 leading up to the Combine and integrating your 2020 plan more afterward. When the pandemic had hit, what stands out most to you from those virtual meetings of you and Kellen deciding how you wanted to mirror your concepts for this scheme?
Well, I think, for the most part, there was some normality to when we were all here in February. So, we were able to get through the first lap. I think the biggest challenge for everybody on the staff was really not to have the opportunity to go through the second lap in person, is obviously, which would be normal. So I just give Kellen a tremendous amount of respect in the job that he did during the virtual setup. So we had to do a lot of work, make a number of decisions when we weren't all in the same room. So and then really once we got to the third lap through, I feel like we really felt like he had the thing totally under control, and we just make sure as an offensive staff we were able to all get on the same page.
Even though this is the start of the season, even though this is the start of the season, does it feel normal to you in comparison to when you were a head coach like 2 years ago, or has, because everything been going on, made this situation feel different?
Well, I don't think this is normal for anybody. Obviously we're dealing with so many different circumstances in our everyday life, let alone just our professional life. So I would hope that our players feel it's as close to normal as possible when they are here in the building. But we're in very unique times, to say the least.
Do you have the same handle or feel you would on this team going into the regular season as far as it being ready, or is it a little bit more of a leap of faith for everybody going into this season?
Honestly, I think it's a leap of faith because your instincts and awareness are definitely at a different level as far as your gauges are, just because frankly you haven't had the amount of work that you're accustomed to for comparables. But at the end of the day, you have to trust your instincts and awareness, and frankly we all do, players, coaches, support staff, and that's held true for us throughout training camp, and I like the look of our football team. So we'll be ready to go Sunday night.
We've talked a lot about how
Mike Jack and Zeke came in this league together in 2016, have started nearly every game together since that time. As a coach coming in who hasn't been with them for those years prior, what stands out to you about their relationship on the field and the way they work together?
Oh, they're very close. I would say they're close off the field too. So just the communication between them and pre-snap and post-snap. So that you definitely see that in experienced players that have played a lot of football with each other. So and it's not even as much as a conversation or a word. It's more like a look. And so I could tell you that those two really see the game the same, and they play with very high instinct and awareness.
Mike, two guys you guys ended up keeping, undrafted rookie free agents, Sean McCune and Rico Dowdle. What did you like about them enough to keep them on the 53?
I mean, they've earned it, and that's really what the 53 is all about. It's and this is obviously different circumstances. The opportunity to earn a job without any preseason games speaks volumes to both those guys, and just without getting into a bunch of specifics, they earned it in practice, and and they're both going to have to take a big step in special teams because that's part of their role, and that's part of the reason why they're on the 53.
What sort of impact do you envision your rookie class being able to make early in this season? And if you can just address where they are as a unit or as a whole going into this year.
Oh, I think we'll definitely have impact from our rookie class, and it's not as much as with the way the season starts. It's over the course of the season, particularly the end of the year has been my experience. Your younger players definitely have to continue to come on throughout the year. We work on that by design as far as how we set the schedule and try to have we have young player meetings on Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. So there's a development emphasis there to continue to develop all of our young players. And obviously the rookie class is part of that. So I think this class, when it's all said and done, will definitely make an impact.
Mike, you were telling us last week that when you were Labor Day weekend, you were enjoying the weather, and now this year you were reminded, it's Labor Day weekend. I was just curious, as you go back to last year, week one, and what you were doing. Were you watching games? Could you watch games? Was it difficult to watch games? Did you feel left out? What were the emotions that you felt week one, not being on the sideline for the first time in so long?
Didn't watch a whole lot of football to start off with, but then frankly I got into a routine with a group of coaches and friends that we were spending time together, and we were all, I don't want to say we were assigned different games, but there was always games of interest that we would watch each week. And I think stating the obvious, living in Green Bay is different when you're not coaching there. So that was definitely a different experience. One I wouldn't recommend for a coach, obviously been there a long time, so forth. So went through that process. But yeah, I frankly would watch selected games each weekend, and then would watch a number of the games, once the video started to come in, because the setup that I was fortunate to have, we pretty much had every NFL game by Tuesday noon.
Mike, Randy Gregory obviously hasn't been around for most of your tenure until this weekend. What's your impression of his reinstatement, and did you have a chance to visit with him today?
Haven't had a chance to have a one-on-one with Randy, but yeah, I'm excited about his opportunity and obviously everything he's gone through to start this chapter of his life, and most importantly, it's important for myself and everybody here to make sure that he gets the support that's needed to accomplish what we need to accomplish.
Randy and Alden are, of course, two different guys, but when you look at how smoothly Alden's camp went after being out of the game so long, do you see blueprints of how y'all can help Randy reacclimate?
Well, I think so, and I think so. Really, the relationship in a defensive line room, I think is going to be key. You have excellent veteran leadership and experience in there, so it's been fun to watch that particular group really come together. So I think it'll be a real asset to Randy, coming back here and being part of that group.
How important is tempo as an offense, and what do you hope to establish there this season?
Well, tempo is important. No doubt it challenges the defense, and it's important for the defense to obviously play with tempo and their mechanics of getting the call in and so forth. And I think if you look back at the competitive drills and throughout training camp, that both sides were challenged there. So it's something that we all spend a lot of time on. I know I always have, because from an offensive perspective, but as a head coach, you need it as much for your defense, and because Sunday the Rams will, they're a multiple tempo offensive operation, so they'll definitely try to challenge us that way.
Okay.
Mike, is there any
Thank you.
reflection? Mike, is there? Hello.
Last question.
Mike, is there any reflection here this week for you in getting back and preparing for a game? You've gone from training camp and now that this is for real this week. What is this like for you? What kind of energy, what kind of juice do you have this week getting ready for a real game?
I wouldn't say I spent a whole lot of time on reflection. I mean, obviously this is a very busy time, and when I was practicing on Saturday, which I've never done, that late in a week, going into the releasing of the players phase, and then you had the late night with the personnel staff and so forth. So I'm sure the feelings will come back Sunday when it's time to take the field. Thank you.